anonymous with a capital A, were pushed off. I mean, it was kind of this rift of sorts. But again, it was this minority. And this is why I kind of compared Gamergate to it. But it's essentially a minority of users, in the hundreds, 2000s, were kind of using 4chan as a platform for activism, and kind of, I think, is speaking in the name of the site and the entire community, and kind of felt that it was their right to kind of drag the greater 4chan into this battle. And you don't. I mean, nobody has that right to do that, and that's why we've more or less had basically a blanket ban on, again, anything that looks like personal information raids, invasions, or whatnot, anything that really looks like activism, because again, like, you don't have the right to, you don't speak for the community. Nobody does. I mean, you don't get to kind of drag quote unquote 4chan or /V into this whatever cause that you're fighting for, be it right or wrong. And so we've really had a history of it, and that's why I kind of compared it to Chinology. And so you actually see a similar thing. Now all those people hate me, so just like the early anonymous people. But again, like, I wish we'd had the unique visitor or the unique posters thing at that time. But there were dozens to maybe a few hundred people posting those threads at any given time. Again, that doesn't represent let's look at these stats. Where's V? So it'll take a minute. But V is used by probably more than 1 million people in a month. So again, no group of persons gets to kind of drag them into whatever holy war they should choose. Find V right here. But again, like, my overall take is I don't care. I know that's hard for someone to believe, and I'm sure everybody will be screaming about how I'm a liar and blah blah blah. But I really just truly, again, like, I think that probably my greatest gift as an adult has been to choose where to invest energy and where not to. And so V is visited by 1.4 million people in a month, and it serves 49, so close to 50 million page views in a month. So again, a few hundred people don't get to speak for the 1.4 million people who browse a board, and certainly don't get to speak for the 20 million people that browse 4chan and get to drag 4chan into something. And again, I think that the splintering was probably for the best. I think it's probably the best for their movement now that they have real centers to organize. And it's best for 4chan in that it insulates 4chan from, again, kind of getting mired in even more controversy. So again, my interests are always that of 4chan as an institution and the 4chan community as a whole, which again, it's tens of millions of people. But again, like, 4chan as an institution, I mean, ensuring that 4chan can survive and not be mired in controversy or legal battles that, again, both exhaust its bank accounts and my energy. I mean, that was another interesting thing about the fappening. I guess here, the fourth question in this series: was it a coincidence you decided to step down as admin following the 2 events highlighted above, and the fappening, I suppose, or did said events pushed you into wanting to step down? No, again, like, this, as I've said, this is a 2-year thing. I mean, certainly, I guess I don't even know if I'd say it accelerated it, but it was very draining, and it was even more draining, I think, to see some of the fallout in the community. I remember when we introduced a DMCA policy, and again, people scream bloody murder. We implemented a blacklist for some of the images that we received DMCA notifications about, and that policy exists to, again, protect the site, to insulate 4chan, the institution, which is something that, again, millions of people have a vested interest in preserving. I mean, I guess some 4chan's detractors don't, but in order to continue to do 4chan, I mean, that was a policy that we had to introduce. I mean, that wasn't optional. That was the letter of the law. And 4chan had always been compliant with the spirit of the law of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. We've always, if somebody emails us and says, "I own this image, can you remove it?" And we reasonably think that they do, then we would, and we always have. I mean, we're good actors in that sense. We've always been good actors with rights holders and with with the law and everything like that. I mean, that's the reason 4chan made it to 11 plus years, is because again, I think some people think we should always be fighting the fight and sticking it to the man. But for the most part, again, we've always been I mean, actually not for the most part. We've always been, good actors in the eyes of the law. Be it criminal law, or in this case, something like the DMCA. But we were not compliant, I mean, to the letter of the law without that policy. I mean, and the DMCA is actually very specific in terms of, I mean, not only do you need to have a DMCA policy publicly posted, but you also have to have a DMCA contact by name. Actually, a lot of people break this because they put up a generic contact. You have to have a name. You have to have a telephone number and a fax number. An email is actually is optional, I think, but and email is always preferred, obviously, because it's just the fastest. But I mean, and you have to have that on file with the Copyright Office too. It's like that is the letter of the law to be afforded safe harbor protection for a tort stemming from copyright infringement. And so again, it's either we have that policy, which again we had kind of, but just not in writing. And insulate the site, or we don't, and we get sued to death. I mean, there was a very, 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 very real chance, and that's why it was such a stressful month, that we were going to get the shit sued. I mean, just sued out of existence. And even if we had prevailed, I mean, it would have been a really interesting, I think, case as far as case law, because it would have really tested, again, should you be my lawyers would be pissed at me right now for talking about this, because it is kind of exposing us, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see again, like, well, you adhere to the spirit of the law, but maybe not the letter of the law. But a single lawsuit would bankrupt 4chan again. And this is actually something I'm sure you're going to question about this, and I am actually planning to write about this, the finances and the financial picture, because again, it's shit. And I realized actually very recently, I was like, I like, it's so shitty that I really truly have, it's like I have nothing to hide. For all the people that think I'm, rolling in riches, again, you could not be further from the, from the truth. I am very frugal though, and I've saved a lot. And again, 4chan's finances are separate from my own. I mean, it is all my money. I mean, that's how it works. I mean, it's, it's a sole proprietorship. I mean, well, it's an LLC, but that money passes through to me and is taxed, but it's, it all is, I've maintained it separate. It has its own ledgers and everything. But, 4chan has enough to kind of weather, and thank God it had enough to weather that month. And again, tens of thousands of dollars in legal bills, but a single lawsuit, could potentially wipe out the site. And again, it is in my interest and your interest and the interest of the institution to avoid getting the shit suit out of us, because again, they're very expensive. Even if you win, they can just completely drain you both financially and again, emotionally. And it is in nobody's interest for 4chan to get sued. And again, that's a big reason. I mean, again, the finances have always been a huge pain in the ass. A lot of users, again, I'm really excited to write about this because it'll be an interesting case study, and basically top 500, the least profitable top 500 site in the world. But people block ads, they don't buy passes. It's just like, we don't have, much to work with. And there's the liability kind of side of things. Like, that is why I will not maintain, people, again, asked earlier, won't you just stay the ad, you don't have to be the admin, but why don't you maintain, control or ownership of the site? And again, I do not want the legal and financial responsibility if I'm not going to be involved in its management going forwards, because believe me, it's not worth it. I mean, it's not worth, again, potentially being, mired in, legal battles, or again, basically bankrupt as I was 5 or 6 years ago, at this point. So, let's see. Just watching it, never 61. Just watching your significant other engage in coitus with another gentleman cause you to enter a state of arousal. I actually, believe it or not, I had to actually Google or Wikipedia cuckolding. I mean, I was familiar with it from Poll, over the past few years, because they're obsessed with cuckolding. But in the recent months, I was like, do I even understand what this is? Is there something more to this than I've been led to believe in the past? And I had a fun time reading at length about cuckolding, just to make sure that I actually had the full picture. But no, it does not. Although I was recently informed by a friend who went out with this person I don't know, who was informed that cuckolding is the thinking man's fetish, and so maybe we should all revisit that someday. Let's see. You said we're here forever, you baka. Why do you lie? Don't leave. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're all, I mean, again, even though I won't be the administrator, I plan to continue these. I mean, I think I need a break, and I'll take a few weeks off.